All right. All right. Hello, everybody. This is Spiritual Ed with Dr. Joe Vertino, Reiki Master Usui, which is the most appropriate title to mention first. If you're familiar with my work, I think it's approximately 4, but I guess we could stretch it out to use a cool yoga term, I guess, into maybe 7 of them, like the amount of chakras we have in our spine. But I'm a spiritual guide is my main title. But Reiki Master is appropriate because today's topic is healing in the collective, and Reiki being the white light of God, the white light of creation, and pure universal energy. It's the optimum healing modality that we have, and there's many points that come up in my life that support that naturally, without me having to force that or try to convince that to be true. I'm also an author and a musician, hopefully getting published soon. My first book is My Own Religion, The Power of Love, a manifesto, 46 different segments, and it's wonderfully conclusive and powerful. So today I have my new friend, in context of how old I am, being 34, I guess, Miss Bonnie S. Hardie, and she is a very appropriate person to have on the show in general, but specifically about healing. And Miss Hardie, if you feel like whatever is on your tongue that you want to start with, and we will take it from there.
Well, good morning, Dr. Joe. Hi, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday. We're just about a week away from Christmas and 2 weeks away from 2025. And a little bit about me. I am a life enhancement coach with the emphasis on mental health, mindset, and motivation. And I'm based in Central Florida. I am an expert on vision boards and the wheel of life. I have a great morning routine that I do every day that starts my day off strong. And basically, what I really want to do is just empower people to say bon voyage to the shackles of the mind and stop them from living the life of their dreams. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter what circumstances you've been through, what your background is. I'm 60 years old. I feel like I'm just now hitting my stride, ready to go. Next year, I'll be a digital nomad traveling internationally, be an inspirational, motivational speaker. So I say, everybody, hey, look, let me help you strive in 2025. What can I do to help you do that? And I'm very pleased to be here with Dr. Joe today. And let's get it on. Let's just talk about whatever we want to talk about today.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I guess in that way, in context of life and longevity, there was actually someone I met yesterday for the first time in a different cafe here in Buffalo, New York, called Cafe Aroma, over on Elmwood Avenue. Uh, uh, which is lovely. And I'm at a different place today called the Remedy House, which is lovely. But this person that I met yesterday, I ended up kind of giving them some spiritual guidance about jobs, right? Having a job and career advice, which is something I'm very much qualified to do, and I love doing that. And yeah, I mean, and the advice I actually gave them was about that, and taking your perspective and kind of like sitting yourself down and being in this perspective of your entire life, right? How your entire life. So kind of, I use the word, I mean, it's easy for me to use the word meditate, right? Meditate on something and allow yourself to be, at that place of mindfulness and attention. It's really is concentration. You're taking your awareness and I use the word perseverate. So, that it's okay for us, because it's easy. It's too easy for us to kind of be in this place of, okay, well, I'm doing this one thing and I'm doing another thing. And then basically your mind gets kind of stuck in between the one thing and the next thing. So it's kind of like if you were like a rabbit, right? And you're like, I have to get this and then go back over here, right?
Right,
But we're not rabbits. We're never going to be rabbits. Rabbits are beautiful, but we're humans, right?
right,
And that was that kind of exercise, was basically taking our mind or minds, as a collective,
right.
collective, and basically allowing it to expand and be in the place of a longer term kind of, I think of like a rainbow. right? I mean, you think of like that example with the child, where or the child and their parent is talking to them, and you know, the parent senses that something that's going on in their awareness, and obviously, hopefully, not in real life, is kind of like a deprecating, to use a big adult word, or kind of like a jump off a bridge kind of mentality that they
Right.
are they kind of arrived at as a child or something. Uh, and basically, our job as good parents is to use the proper language, but also respond to the child is always appropriate. It's not appropriate just to ignore the child, you know what I mean, in that way, just because you're concerned about that you can mess up being a parent. But I mean, within reason, I guess I understand. But basically, my what I'm saying about this advice is basically, yeah, that us, the idea of the the rainbow is understanding, like we understand in science, what it takes. So the kind of perspective of what it takes, and children, or other people that are adults, maybe they got through life and that never came up in them. That kind of perspective of, we understand in science, this is how rainbows form, right? This is how they get there. It's not, it's something that is kind of out of our control in our objective shared reality, and everything. And then basically you're allowing yourself to let go of that rabbit mind, right? And then you're engaging with life in a way that's more complete, because like when we're born, we're meant to live out natural healthy lives to a healthy old age, and all of this stuff that we're going to talk about today all serves that purpose. And there's also, I'll leave it with this, and then I'll let you give us some more insight here. In New Age circles, there's something called releasing what doesn't serve us any longer.
Mhm.
So in that way, that's basically, that thing, because what I'm trying to kind of get people to see in these phrases is basically exactly that. That if there is something in us that we can see and feel and sense, and then also in that, therefore, we can logically allow that to be let go of. Because it literally, for that exact reason alone, that it would no longer be serving us, which is a kind way to phrase it, right? Because it may have never served us, right? But it,
Right, for sure, definitely. So if it doesn't serve us, you gotta get rid of it. You gotta
yeah.
trim the fat and get rid of it. It doesn't serve us anymore, for sure.
So yeah, if you have something that you want to say right away, go for it. If not, I was going to bring up some of the points of the things like on the list that you had about your dharma, specifically
Yeah,
personally, lifetime. That's obviously valuable, for our collective.
yeah, definitely. You can start mentioning any one of those, and I'll answer the
Sure,
questions for anything. Explain whatever we need to go over.
sure, yeah. So I mean, I made a video called "Proper Perspective on Mental Health," and
Mm.
you can't see it right now, but I actually wore the shirt because it's so cold out. This same shirt, this college polo, was in that
Oh,
one.
cool.
I wasn't outside at all. I didn't have my hat on or anything, but
Yeah.
and I was a little bit less scruffy. But I made that video, "Proper Perspective on Mental Health." And so you mentioned in your list, it talking about uh, what is it called? Yeah, mental health, and even though we're not professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists in the field of mental health, in the sense alone of qualifications, right? Like having a
Right.
degree, having a certification from a school, that's a
Right.
diploma-based thing. But I am a professional in the field of medicine, and psychology and psychiatry is obviously always going to be, well, it's in the field of medicine, in the context of but also it's in science, in the sense that if
Right.
you're only strictly taking data from study, that's technically not medicine. It's research and development, right?
Right.
But in that way, so I remember something on the list that you said kind of was in that kind of lane. You talked about. I mean, I want to maybe say something about mental health. Maybe some kind of general, kind of introductory. basic trustworthy things, or things that if people are, oh, how about this one? If people are struggling with certain behaviors, or yeah, is there anything in there that maybe comes up? Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, general benevolence and kindness that we have for each other, right? Using the word in the collective, right? Like in the
Right.
topic. But I mean, in context of that, I guess healing is uh healing, is for everybody, and then basically putting ourselves into that place of recognition of uh you know letting ourselves kind of even though we might not be involved with healing at all in this lifetime, letting ourselves be kind, and letting that kind of grow on us like moss. I think
Right. Definitely. It's like I said before, it's almost Christmas time right now, and people are dealing with different things. And I actually made a post this morning. It's like, just be kind to people. You don't know, at Christmas, people could be dealing with the loss of a loved one. Maybe they're not close with their family. Maybe they're going to be by themselves for Christmas. Maybe it's, I live in Central Florida, so it doesn't get too cold per se. Whoever you're in New York, Dr. Joe, so it gets cold. You got that SAD, the seasonal affective disorder, where it's you can't be going out too much. The days are shorter, so it's always dark. So you never know what people are going through. Just be kind. I myself deal with depression, anxiety, PTSD. I've been bullied. I've been judged. I've been this. I've been that. And it's like just smile to people. I have a 5 by 5 morning routine, 5 activities that I do every day to start my day off right. And one of my things is practicing gratitude, and one is I tell people to name 5 things they're grateful for every day. You do that every day for 30 days. That's 150 things, and it's got to be something different every day. I've had people say, "Hey, I was going to work and I hit all the green lights, so I didn't have to keep stopping at traffic lights." Somebody else said, "I went to the grocery store. I got a good parking space right in the front. What I needed to get was right there. Cashier didn't have anybody in the line. I was in and out in like 5 minutes. That doesn't happen very often. So
yeah, of course.
it's little things like that to be grateful for. And also, I tell people to, at least 5 people a day compliment them about anything. Hey, I love your hair. Hey, that your earrings are awesome. It puts such a smile on their face, and it takes what 5 seconds to say that. Acknowledge people, smile at them, say hi, and you don't have to have a 25-minute conversation with people. I mean, there's times I'll say one thing and we'll turn it into a 10-minute conversation. But just, people right now, they just want to be acknowledged. They want to know people care about them. They want to know people think about them. People can be very lonely right now. There's a difference between lonely and being alone. And, it's hard to sometimes try to reach out because everybody's going through so many stresses and stuff. And you don't want to add to it. You don't want to make anything worse. But it's like, you never know how people are feeling at any time, not just the holidays. There's a lot of uncertainty going on all over the world right now, and a lot of crazy things. And just be kind to others. And you could be the person that breaks the stereotype for somebody else. There's people that they're literally on the edge, and they want to do some serious things, and you could be the one person that literally stops them from jumping off that bridge. And I want to be that one person that pulls you up. It's like I reach my hand, I'll grab my hand, let me pull you up, let me pull you off of the brink, and let me help you with whatever you need help with. Do you want to just talk and have me listen? Do you want to vent about stuff? I tell people when you journal, journal about everything. If there's somebody that's
Oh, let me see here. Hopefully, we didn't run into internet issues. That would be unfortunate. That would be very unfortunate. Let me see if it's possible for this to come back online here. Let me see. I don't think refresh. Do it. Well, the time's still ticking. If you got me here, but it looks like Bonnie is frozen. And we were in the middle of obviously her nice point about practical life advice. Oh, she got kicked out. Let me see. But it lets her come back in here. My apologies. Let's see if we do Facebook. So we do invite, copy, copied. Facebook. Let you go. Come back in here, please. Come back. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, I mean, she had a great point. Hopefully she can get back in here real quick and we can continue on. But I mean, basically, that point there, that I'll wrap up her point, is basically, there she is. She came back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened. Here we go. We're good.
But yeah, thank God we're back on. Okay, anyway, so yeah, you were talking about all these practical, so healing in the collective being the topic, and then basically connecting the dots for some people. So basically, people might see this kind of material and they would go, I want to ... right? And then basically what you were in the middle of producing is something that is available, right? So something that they can kind of grab onto, some kind of like beginnings of, I guess, an assured goodness, right, in someone's life, right? An assured goodness. And I think for me, I mean, I want to let you finish what you were saying, but I guess basically for me, what I have is, I think of this. There's something called the spiritual heart, and whether we don't have to know anything about that or anything, but the spiritual heart is like, because spirit isn't per se like a physical thing, right? But a heart, like in our center, right? So the spiritual heart is kind of like, I think of general benevolence, right? General benevolence, meaning just allowing yourself to have not harmful kind of the energy of what would cause harm in you. And then, for example, like that's a great starting place. Like if someone was watching this and they go about their day and they see this video or something like that, or God changes their heart, right? One and the same. And that little kind of shift in their, it's difficult to put words on it, in their heart. I don't know, in their being. And basically you start to just allow the general goodness to be kind of, I guess, entertained, right? It's like, it's literally being kind of allowed to be, in your being,
in your heart, yeah, in yourself, yeah. You got to look inside of yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy with your surroundings. So sometimes you need to change your surroundings, but you also need to change yourself and how you react to your situation, and what's going on with you and everything. And don't act rude to other people out of anger. Just understand what other people are going through, and just be cool with other people. And if you're not happy with yourself, why is that? What do we need to do to figure out why you're not happy with yourself and your story? And what do we need to do to switch it so that you're not, if you're one of those people that you're a Debbie Downer all the time, then nobody's going to want to be friends with you, and then you're going to be upset because you have no friends. So it's a big circle that goes around all the time. So you be cool with other people, you be cool with yourself, and your life is going to turn out much better. I guarantee it.
Yes. Yes. I mean, basically, that. I like the way you phrase that. Being cool with yourself, being cool with others. I mean, right now I'm physically cold. I guess I look cool, but I guess in that way, I mean, me tuning in with myself, and there's something that I kind of like saying as a kind of like a little kind of like teaching or lesson. That it basically has to do with situational awareness. Now, if we observe in ourselves, when you hear me say that, situational awareness.
Yes.
Now, this is something I've noticed even about myself from time to time, but now I'll kind of go into some kind of perspective, insight, when you hear that, if you might notice that there's a part of us that might be like the bigger part that feels like it's immediately on like a football field, right?
Mm.
Situational awareness, right? And it's like, I don't
Right.
play football. I'm not on a football field right now, right? I'm not about to get run over maybe by a 300-pound person.
Right.
That's now you're in the same perspective as me, because then that's the thing. It's you're in that light of awareness of yourself. And and I'm a Buddhist. I'm a Zen Buddhist, and that's a very,
Mm.
very, I guess technically the most important thing, is that pure observation.
Right.
So if you realize that really all it is was just words, two words, situational awareness, right? And like what I said about myself, I'm physically cold and I look cool, and both of those are
Mhm.
true, and both of those are good in the sense that I'm allowing myself to properly, for safety purposes, engage with what my physical atmosphere about me, so that
Right.
if I was denying that I'm cold, then I could get frostbite if I didn't go
Right.
inside, right? So on the
Right.
physical safety level, and then the other one in the sense of I look cool, it makes you. There's a whole bunch of reasons, right? Going back to psychology of affirmations and positive self-image. Even if you don't feel good, or you feel good about yourself, letting yourself explore that. Oh, you know what?
Right.
I am cool, right? And then if you go into that, the seriousness, like for example, like if someone's dealing with addiction, right? They
Mm.
have that, like if they were smoking cigarettes, right? And they got addicted to cigarettes, and they said, you know what? I am cool right now, and there's nothing needed, right?
Right.
More, right? So that's that you can see how on a practical healing level, general practical well-being, obviously we don't
Right.
prefer to be we don't prefer, collectively we don't prefer addiction, right? But obviously we still have, at this point, we still have people on our planet,
Right.
whether they're in position, whatever position they're in, of influence on our world and our kind of global scape. uh
Right.
it's still a thing, that exists, and that's why this video is being made, right? um
Most definitely. Yeah. You gotta be aware of what's going on around you at all times, and how you react to what's going on, and see what triggers you, because there's a lot of things that you can be triggered by, and I try to notice that there's certain people or situations that do trigger me. And what feelings come up? Do you trigger me into being frustrated? Do you trigger me into being angry? Do you trigger me into having fun, smiling? You want to associate good people with good things. See, I said associate with smiling, and what'd you do? You smile, right, Dr. Joe? So you want to I want to be the type. Oh, sorry, my phone fell. It's all good. You know, man down, man down. I want to be the type of person when I go someplace, they don't say, "Oh gosh, Bonnie's coming in. What's she gonna say today?" I want people when I come in say, "Hey, Bonnie, say what's she gonna say today? How's she gonna make us laugh? What's going on today?" I want people to be happy to see me. I want people to want to be around me, and I want to help other people be that way. If I want people to look at the bright side of things, there's always going to be some negative stuff, but I like to show people how to reframe their negatives into positives, and just, hey, go out and smile about stuff. And, if it's raining a lot today, then that means tomorrow you don't have to go outside and water your lawn, and you're not going to have to spend all that money on water. So, think of it that way. And you guys, it's kind of cold, but you shiver, but you burn some calories shivering, so that's good too, right? So it doesn't get too cold in Florida, but sometimes it gets cold enough. 35 degrees to me is super duper cold.
that's what Oh
So
yeah.
it's like, yeah, yeah. So in Florida, sometimes they consider 50 degrees cold, but
Yeah,
that is cold. So I'm used to it being in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and especially in the summertime. So, but you just need to be aware of what's going on around you, what triggers you, who triggers you, how they trigger you, what you need to do to be better. Because somebody's always triggering you into being unhappy. you might need to figure out what's going on and change that situation, because you don't want to always be upset because a certain person is around you. You might need to discuss something with them. For sure.
Well, I want to add to that a very, very important piece. A piece with an I that adds peace with an E,
Okay.
right? And the same in this on the second letter line, right, of the
Right.
word PIECE,
You see?
of the whole pie, of the whole thing, that adds peace, PEACE, right?
Yeah, I like that.
So, yes, peacefulness is it's something that we all inherently crave. Like that cereal brand or whatever.
Right. Yes.
I don't know. Do I get in trouble if I mention cereal brands on here? If they
I don't know. I hope not. Maybe they'll sponsor you. You never know. That'd be cool, right?
cereal, all you got to do is hold up a cereal thing and smile.
Right, for sure.
You baboon. But yeah. So what I was going to say is basically people getting to, well, we already established the rational perspective is basically us being able to is generally being able to allow the choice, the perspective of mind to kind of dawn
Right.
of self-responsibility, which is a big word, but that's for every human ever, right? Self-responsibility in the sense of that we're an individual and we can't not be that, right? And basically, and that we should basically stand in that, right? Like a bird stands in a bird bath, right? Self-responsibility. And even if you notice that in that sentence, that even though I'm a healer and you're a healer in that way, and our topic is healing in the collective on spiritual ed, right? Nothing about that rationality of self-responsibility. I didn't mention the word healing once. So what that tells you, we could say, if even in that way, is because you have to make the decisions, right? That are healing for yourself, but also it shows us that is a universally applicable perspective. So it's something that's inescapable. For example, someone could say, "I choose healing," but that's something that self-responsibility is something that is kind of not so much like an option as much as it is a kind of something that has to happen, right?
Right.
And then basically, yes. And then I guess from there, it's not that we all have to plumb our depths, right? We don't all have to plumb our depths, right? Like in that way, especially right away. And also, if we understand that our depths, I know as a master healer, as a Reiki master, that healing is a process and that it does take grace. And in that way, the most important thing is having the mature perspective. What that means is basically that we can't make it happen. So, for example, it's like if your wound wasn't exposed, but you put a Band-Aid on your skin and there was no wound on your skin, it's like that's literally all that would be happening, because life isn't in our. We can't force our wound to the surface like a push pop, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? We can't do that. So then basically then what happens is, in that way, you kind of relax about that, and then allowing yourself, oh, well, yeah, I do deserve to truly be happy and not suffer needlessly. And then you start to live in alignment with that. and that's being on the path of healing, is letting yourself resonate with just that foundational truth. I deserve to be happy and not suffer needlessly, and then I'm only talking about myself, and then that resonation starts to happen, and then you start to, yeah, like I said, then you start to get the hang, or you could say it seems like the universe starts to get the hang of you, right?
Right, definitely. Healing is a long-term process, and you got to go layer by layer. You got to peel the layers back, and dig deep down and see what exactly is causing the problem, and then you can start to heal. And there's some problems that really go back to childhood that maybe you don't even really remember what happened. But once you start thinking about that or talking to people that were around you, then you might realize that you may correlate stuff. If like, growing up, your sister said, "Oh my gosh, you can't sing, you're a horrible singer." Well, now when you're a grown up, now you don't want to sing because of what somebody said to you, but you might go to karaoke and start singing and you're a really good singer. But you let somebody say something when you were 6 years old that stopped you from doing what you really want to do now. And it's like, just go out and do stuff. If you're bad at singing, bad at dancing, it doesn't matter. There's so many bad people out there doing stuff. It's crazy. Oh, hang on. They just said there's a Winnie mobile outside. Oh, oh yeah, yeah. There's a Winnie mobile driving down the street over here. That's
Oh,
cool. So yeah, all right. So yeah, healing takes a lot, and once you get healing, sometimes stuff has to get better before it gets. Sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. It's like when you break your leg, you have to put the cast on it, and then once it gets better, it's stronger than it was before. So, once you put the pieces back together, they might be in different order, but you're stronger than you were before. So that's why I always, talk about having a strong mindset,
yeah,
having a really strong mindset, and being trying to stay as positive as you can, and being grateful for what's going on, and being grateful. Sometimes you do have to be grateful for the bad things that have gone on in your life, because without the bad things, you're not going to appreciate the good things. Without sleeping on the streets, you're not going to appreciate a really nice bed. Without not being able to eat for a couple days, you're going to appreciate a really good meal. So you need to sometimes have the bad with the good, and then you're going to appreciate stuff a whole lot more. So some people, they never have to struggle about anything, and I don't really like to be on the struggle bus. But sometimes you have to get kind of smacked in the face and struggle for certain things, and then you're going to really appreciate stuff. And I'm in the position where I can help a whole lot of people worldwide. I'm going to appreciate being, in a really nice bed and having all sorts of cool things come to me. So you do have to sometimes suffer, suffer for your soul. I guess I'm not sure exactly how I want to phrase that, but you got to see, you got to suffer sometimes, and then you're going to really appreciate the good stuff that comes along in your life.
yes. We're about halfway through, and I guess something that I want to kind of bring into this equation here is not giving up on kind of these baby steps, right?
Right,
For example, we talked about self responsibility. So self responsibility, I guess, in context of, I mean, it's the context of everything, the context of
right,
existence, the universe, and in that way that basically we recognize that we exist, that we're here as an individual being, and then
right,
basically the next step, because growth is something that is also here, right, in existence, right? I mean, how do you know that? Because before I was born, when I was born, I'm born onto this earth, and it didn't just begin or start
right,
growing just when I came out, right? So
right,
growth has been around, meaning that like the grass was growing, right? As I was born, there was already some grass, right?
right,
It was already up to here. So in that way, we understand that growth is, inherent. Just like our what we recognize is as actual ourself as an
right,
individual, and you could say growth, right? In this what we call a word to call it is a universe, right? So you
right,
have those three things as we know for certain are actual,
right,
right? And then basically because we're all interested in actuality, right? We're interested in the truth, and as I mentioned, that foundational truth, we all beings deserve slash mean to be happy and not
right.
suffer needlessly. So
Definitely. I think people need to try to be happier with what's going on, and just start to look at the good side of things and start to be, more positive. The glass is half full, not half empty, and be more optimistic and and you're the captain of your own ship. You need to do what you need to do to make you happy, and start living a better life. If you're not happy with your life now, what needs to change? Do the people around you need to change? Does your living situation need to change? What do you need to do to change what's going on in your life? So I've been really in my own life thinking about that a lot, and it's like, yeah, I gotta make some changes personally, professionally, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I've been doing, and it's like, it's you just gotta, sometimes you gotta get sick and tired of being sick and tired, and then some trigger's gonna hit you, and then you're like, yeah. But when stuff is bad, though, once stuff starts getting better, you can use your experiences to help others and say, look, I
Absolutely.
went through this, this, and this, and now look at where I am now. If I can be in this position where I've gone through all of this crazy stuff, you know, I might not be like a like a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a clinical doctor, have a lot of I've got my degree from the School of Hard Knocks. So, well,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. There's not certain things I can't diagnose or say or do.
Yeah.
However, I can tell you what I personally did to get through my struggles of being homeless, of having anxiety, having depression.
Yeah.
Being bullied, being judged, all that kind of stuff. It's like at my age,
Yeah.
6 years old, with bad knees and this and that and the other. If I
Yeah.
can still get up bright and early every day, smile, and enhance people's lives, you can do it. You have very few excuses. If I can do it, you can do it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I want to go with this is that if we understand that the person that I'm talking to, right, as the host is someone who's literally here, who understands that kind of like, in their own personal experience, very distinct kind of experiences, and delineating between what is kind of something that's involuntary and what's
Yeah,
something that's voluntary, right? So, like what you just mentioned is like, um, the voluntary side, right? And obviously strictly in a that is and was forever will be good things, right?
right,
Good choices, um, that we could say were just about you. And I guess what I want to basically put out there is that that's for everybody.
right,
That's really the main thing, healing in the collective. And then if you understand that as you, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess that, to give some kind of assuredness, like I said, assured foundational love, which is I guess something that we all need, in that way. And I'll say that strictly as a Reiki master, right? Healer,
right,
alone, assured foundational love. And that, yeah. And then basically, I mean, I guess the other thing I can say is, yeah, having trust and faith, and I hope that we don't get our coat caught on a kind of offense here with faith, in the
right,
sense of our experience with I mean, I can say gallantly, or really it's our experience with X, Y, and Z.
mm,
So leaving it kind of that.
right,
Um, and that's a respectful way to myself and to other people, because I mean, I do love religion and I do believe in God, and I don't feel
right,
no one's no one's voice wants to feel like they have to pull back, right? Like,
right.
I believe in God, but now I have to pull back, right? So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. And sometimes you have to know when to pull back, and you have to know when to get yourself out there and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, yeah, and I guess that would be the, well, yeah, well, I'll keep going with this.
yeah,
So the faith, if we see faith as from a literally like a professional, psychological perspective alone, because
right,
we understand that, in yes, right, because if we're talking about the whole collective, it's not about me convincing, you, in of your in of like kind of like, what would that would be perturbing, right?
right,
For example, like in Reiki, you don't convince someone or attempt to convince or lead into any
right,
conversation ever like that, right? So that
right,
would be the thing with like the religion, whatever. But faith is really just a term. It's a beautiful term and a beautiful word, and it's relevant in the sense of literally just general, practical
right,
life, and things, kind of us getting in the swing of things. Um, in that way. It doesn't have to ever be more than that. It really is that simple forever. And if you understand that, if you take it into context of a spiritual figure like Jesus, ultimately, I'll use the word forever again, that is a personal journey, no matter
Right.
what, right? So the reason that we feel cross or crass or like there's a line being crossed or offended or ruffled, albeit uncomfortable, is because there is a line there.
Right.
Because if you think about it, there's the practical, simple foundation that I just gave you of faith, in the sense that it's literally like an energy that is in you that I'm encouraging.
Right.
Like it's literally that simple, and it's based on trust rather than fear. But also, if you see it, it really is this kind of ephemeralness to it, because it's not like a physical thing. Um, And then I guess going further with that, if you understand that the line is there because that's the only objective experience we can have of faith, like our shared universe, our shared world.
Right.
Like if you were here with me, say you visited me or whatever, and hopefully, it wouldn't be wintertime because it's cold, but say we were here, this table, right? This table, Miss Hardy, is the same table we'd be sitting at, right?
Right.
Objective shared world, our objective shared experience.
Right.
In that way, we can only literally go that far in for all forever with faith, because it's objectively right. That's as far as we can ever go, and the rest of it is completely and ultimately, no matter what, forever personal. So the reason
Right.
that I brought up Jesus Christ is because there would be no Jesus Christ as a man of God forever and ever in our history without that complete awareness in himself, right? So whether it was understood in his soul that is an ultimately and forever a personal relationship with the divine, and that's it. So the thing
Mm-hmm.
is that if you understand that, even to the point with Christians,
Mm-hmm.
right, that if they're crossing that line, because it's an objective, goodness is goodness, truth is truth everywhere, it's a universal thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of them. It's not a,
Right.
we have multiple colors like the rainbow, but truth is one.
Right.
What is true here is true elsewhere, right? That's just life. And my job as a spiritual guide is to literally oscillate around that forever, or whatever you want to call it, and basically just bring people into it, you
Right.
know, like a weeble wobble who doesn't fall down.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's just what I was thinking. Weeble wobble. It's like, you can punch me and I'll fall over, but I'll roll right back up, and I won't stay down forever. No matter how many punches you give me, I'll bounce back, and I'll come back, and I'll show my toughness. And it's like, you can. Everybody has a plan until they get kicked in the teeth, and then their plan changes. But then it's like, yeah, I'll keep bouncing back, I'll keep coming back, and you're not going to keep me down. And no matter how hard you try, and if you're actually the type of person who tries to keep other people down, you're not somebody that I want in my life. You're a crab, and I'm not going to have people in my life who are trying to put me down, who are trying to put other people down, who think they're better than other people just because they have a really big house, have a nice car, they have a lot of money. Money doesn't make the person. The house doesn't make the person. The car doesn't make the person. The person makes the person. And I can have a lot less than you, and I can be a much better, nicer person than you. So just because you have all this doesn't mean you're better than me. Because honestly, when we die, our casket's all going to be the same size, and you're not going to be able to take your car and your nice house with you. So be cool while you're on this earth. So
Yeah.
you don't know when your days are going to end. So just be cool, and everybody will be good in the end for sure.
Yes, I mean, yes, and there's another dot that I will connect, and I love the kind of spattering of insight that you're giving in there. It's kind of like seeds, like how birds will eat seeds, and you kind of,
Yeah.
in our journey of life, we kind of, we're a bird and we fly and we walk, and then naturally, when we see a seed, we go towards it and kind of peck at it, and then there's these little nuggets, of wisdom and insight throughout our life, that are like that on our path, individually.
Yeah, for sure. You can always grab little nuggets from a bunch of different people, and get the good points from the people and even get the bad points from the people. Learn how you don't want to act towards others, and say, I never want to be like that person, but I want to be like that person over there. And just like the army or the navy or somebody says, just be the best you can be the best version of Dr. Joe, be the best version of Bonnie, be the best version of you that you could be, and that's all anybody could ever ask for.
Yeah, I mean, basically encouraging. So that's the thing about faith. And if you talk about these negative things that are very, very real,
Mm.
so you talk about anger, which is very, very real, right? So for
Yes,
example,
yes.
without sharing my opinion on it, we talk about like demons, right?
Mm.
So people do all kinds of things with their mind, or they'll say, don't, you kill the demon or you ignore the demon,
Mm.
or what have you in this context of life. But you have to accept that the fact that you're here and you're existing, and if there's something that's there, whether if it's not preferable,
Mm.
don't ever let go of your sanity and act or try to convince yourself otherwise.
Right.
For example, that's my point with anger. Anger is very, very real, and you'll notice that in yourself, that's you're transcending like a fear, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have to go further with that, right? um as like in psychology, it'd say like a self-analysis. you
Mm.
know you don't have to do that. It's better off going to the fields and watch the rabbits bounce around for an afternoon.
Mm. Right.
But basically, so then you so like, for example, with me, the foundation of all healing is trust, capital T,
Mm.
trust. And what's supposed to happen is, well, like with me, as people are watching this, and with Bonnie, right,
Mm.
and eventually with life in general. But you might notice a lot with me that you start to develop a kind of uh, trust might start to happen, because I mean, I say it's God's will, but it's the actuality, because we exist, and it's natural for us to heal.
Right.
Right? It's natural for us to heal. And that's really the whole thing of it. Because if I'm an expert healer, you developing trust with me is just a natural. It's like grass growing, right?
Right.
It's just a natural thing. It's like when a frog jumps, what do they have to do first before the frog can leap? They have to put their feet down.
Right.
So their feet and their ankles have to go
Mm.
ah.
Yeah.
So that is trust, right? I'm trusting, like my dad. I'm sitting on my dad's lap. He's got me, right?
Mm.
Hey, hey, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. And then you're sitting there, and then you start to get your feet under you like that, and then you start to want to move. And then that
Right.
movement that you're doing, because your foundation, that's why I said a shared foundational love,
Right.
is very, very needed and very serious and very real. And that has to, in order for us to be, well, the goal is that we can all be grounded in that. And then we could say, I guess we're grounded, or we're of that.
Right.
Jesus, I'll mention Jesus one more time here. What did Jesus say? He said, I am not of this world, but I'm in it,
Right.
right? And then I guess, if you understand that spirit, and he's making a point, because he's wholeheartedly, immediately, without thinking about it. He didn't like write
Yeah.
down some notes and go, huh, right?
Yeah.
Like the 95 Theses or something, right? But he did it without thought, right? Instinctually. And he said, I am wholeheartedly, immediately understanding this now, that I am in and of spirit.
Right.
And if people around me need help, I'm going to help them. And then the words came out. So then the
Right.
words were, I am not of this world, but I am in it. And the
Right.
logical conclusion, which I can say as not a person who is Jesus Christ and who is also a human being, is, so then what are you doing here, Jesus? Why are you here, Jesus? Because you're here. You are here to help. It's the only logical conclusion. Because if he's saying, I am come from a world,
Yeah.
and it's not this one that
Right.
you are living in. So what he means in there is the world that you're convinced of. So, for example, if we're in this, our shared universe, our objective reality, and we understand that the birds and the bees are not inherently bad.
Right.
But we understand that we still are struggling ethically. So that means that something needs to change for the better. Right?
Right.
Because the whole motivation in its entirety, we could say for Jesus, for Jesus's appearance, for Jesus's incarnation, in that way, or we could say maybe in that lifetime, in that lifetime that we know him as Yeshua, the ascended master, you know. And then to me, I think really the big kind of kahuna on that one that I would pray over and I'll mention is us not being afraid of needing help, needing healing, needing a guiding light in our life, throughout our life, right? Over the internet or over the phone, or we never get to see them or meet them, but we get obsessed with their material and their videos, right? And that there's nothing ever wrong with needing it, with needing healing. And then if you understand in there, if you want to go for it on where would that be an issue? Like, for example, I'm editing my book right now, and I noticed I wrote about Fred Rogers, one of the most beautiful. I mean, I'm batting like a million in mentions of, you got Jesus and then you got Fred Rogers, and you know what I mean? It's like the best possible people we could talk about.
Yeah.
And Fred Rogers is, and I guess next to that is the birds and the bees, right? Right. But so Fred Rogers is someone who is this. I wrote in my book, he struggled in his hometown because he was an effeminate man. An effeminate man, meaning that he had a bend towards the feminine, kind of in his kind of like how he seemed, or something like that, kind of like whatever that is. And so he got bullied and he got made fun of. And apparently that carried on into his adulthood and into his successes and into his career. And so what I was going to say about that is that would be the main thing that would kind of be like a blockade to the acceptance, right? Because really all it is acceptance.
Right.
I mean, I'll finish that sentence again and say what? There's nothing wrong with 100% needing healing. So So that would be the main enemy, so to speak, in ourselves, right? Because I know how men are, especially with something like healing, and it's brand new and we don't know anything about it, and it's intimidating, and there's already experts in the place. And naturally you fall into a place in yourself that becomes maybe a little bit kind of defensive.
Right.
And in that way, it's okay. Like for me, it makes sense for me to speak in context of kind of like a warlike mentality, right? Because we're physically stronger, and our instincts, the instincts always means the first course of action, right? So it's okay. Allow yourself to be in that place of warrior immediately, right? If I hear another man and, oh, damn it, he has a beard and everything, and he says there's nothing wrong with 100% needing healing, and you go like this, right? And you go into that place of, it's kind of like you grab a spear, right? It's okay forever. Just let yourself fully be that man. Because why I'm saying that is because there's the enemy is the machismo, arrogance, right? The thing that if you talk to the lady, talk to your auntie, as they say in India, auntie, uncle, who isn't even real auntie or uncle, and they go, don't you dare be that big, that silly, right, of that arrogant, and say and then you do that thing where it comes out, the words, the poo-poo, right, comes out and goes, you're weak, other person, right? Because now you have
Right.
potential real actual war. So on a survive, I mean, because if you're insulting your neighbor, right?
Right.
So my basic gist of this is there's nothing wrong, and there might not be any response at all, right? But I'm just saying, in that way, 100%, there's nothing wrong with needing healing, and
Right.
knowing and just letting yourself, like I mentioned, like kind of I letting yourself be with that truth is like the most, to me, is like a home run.
Definitely, for sure. You have to know your truth. You have to know the why of your truth, and you have to stand in your truth. And even if other people don't believe it, don't think it's right or whatever, stand in your truth, and you know your why, and you know that you're in the right, and you're gonna stand up for yourself, and you're gonna be a much better person for standing in your own truth and letting other people know what's going on. And you'll get people that agree with you, you'll get people that don't agree with you. However, if you know you're in your heart that you are right, stand in your truth, stay strong, and namaste to everybody. And if you're gonna be supportive, that's fine. And if you're
Yeah,
not gonna be supportive, talk to you later. We'll talk to the hand, right?
yeah. And you mentioned something about that reminded me of part of my book that I'm getting published, hopefully as soon as I can return it to over email, because I have to absolutely make sure the final editing, and I didn't have Word on my laptop.
Mm,
I have a MacBook Air, and I never was able to get Word. I guess maybe because
mm.
I'm poor and also busy and lazy, and the combination of those three things. And then also
Yeah.
being a professional writer, I just use Pages or whatever it was. But I have
Yeah.
a library here in Buffalo. There's a beautiful, glorious, libraries that here in Buffalo, New York. They're beautiful. And I'm writing my book out. The first book is called My Own Religion, The Power of Love, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And it's a manifesto, 46 different segments. And there's a segment called The Power of Being Weird. Now, let me connect this, because what you said is about the same exact truth. So the thing of what I said about truth, what truth is it five things, or is it right?
One.
One thing with my super cold hand. We have to end soon because I'm freezing. Um, but I'll say this thing and then we'll start to wrap up. But basically, this, in The Power of Being Weird, I made a literal list of the things that you would have to deal with if you were to accept yourself, right? And one of them is basically the main one is accepting, um, the proper perspective on other people is that what? We don't have any cards to play because it's not our hands, right? They're
Right.
other people. And I kind of generally in that, then what happens is there's this kind of acceptance, in that acceptance uh, is basically that the parts of us that would be kind of extending ourselves unconsciously or consciously in the wrong kind of way towards that end, towards the end of the denial of that truth, right? Of that that's not our life to live, and it's not our hand to hold, right? That's other people. That what that does is it allows our kind of our sense, our outward, our energy to relax. That was fraying. It was like frayed
Right.
wire, right? Like
Yeah.
we're a holy mechanism, a holy thing. I think of like wires, and
Right.
our wires of our kind of experience of life, they're kind of, we're here like this, and then they
Yeah.
kind of get into a place where they get frayed, right? Frayed, frayed, and wires aren't
Right.
meant to be frayed, but yet we're still here, we're still alive, we're okay. But
Right.
we've got a little bit of a problem over here with our pinky,
Mm.
right?
Right. Yeah.
And then why does that, and I already told you why exactly that happened or happens,
Yeah.
is because we weren't allowing ourselves to uh there was something happened without going into the blame of the past at all, because the most important thing is our here and now and general
Right.
benevolence, right, which includes ourself. And then the only step is allowing that attention, that wire that got frayed because it went out of bounds,
Right.
to simply to simply you put a little cap on it, right? You stop the fray, right, or something like this, and,
Right.
and then that what that translates as is you accepting yourself, and then that's it. So you don't have to do anything further. You don't have to go into any kind of attempt to change the other person. And
Right.
if it's a very difficult situation, like some people have been through, even particularly powerful individuals like myself, we go through adverse experiences involving the external world and
Mm.
other people and other souls. And you yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, the power of being weird is really the point of it, but that you're serving the whole collective naturally and potentially inadvertently, right? When you allow
Right.
yourself to completely indulge in the power of being weird, which can only ever be yourself forever. And
Right.
what it is it really is a courageous act, because weird is not bad, it's not perverse, it's
Yeah, weird is good.
it's guaranteed what interesting. It'll at least turn your
Yeah.
head. It's like if an art.
Right.
It's like literally to me that how I exactly see it is like I woke up one day and I shaved and put on some clothes and I'm walking down the street and all I didn't really plan on doing anything, but then I'm walking and then there's literally like a square and it's a they call it art, right? I remember from high school these squares,
Right.
life, right? And then basically you see it and it's always guaranteed interesting. So that's weird to me. Now, and
Right.
that's the whole thing. Now, if you understand that, how do you know that the power of being weird is positive? If that was just a blank wall and concrete, and you said, look, it's another one afterwards, that to me is saddening,
Yeah.
and unnecessary, so to speak, in that way. It's something that we can avoid collectively. So,
Hmm.
like, for example, like, why did that one guy, that artist, what was his name? He did the Campbell soup cans. And Jim
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Warhol.
Yeah, Andy Warhol. Yeah.
Warhol. So he was a what? A weirdo. He understood
Yeah,
the
he was eccentric. Yeah.
power. Eccentric is exactly right.
Yeah.
So in that way, why did he get famous though? Because if there's it's like an undebatable like commonplace fact that Andy Warhol was weird and that he literally got famous for being weird on a canvas.
Right.
So that's the power of being weird. Why did he get famous? Because we're all weirdos. And we're supposed to be, because it's not a bad thing. But what is it doing is it's freeing us. It's freeing us. Like you mentioned, I think you mentioned at the beginning of this video, Miss Hardie, something about freeing yourself from the shackles of the mind.
Right.
So that's how you do that. It's how you do that. We're not going to all go be Buddhist or Catholic monks, right? As much as I love spirituality, it's completely impractical, unlike the Campbell soup cans, right?
Right.
So, and that's the thing is that, someone getting upset somewhere on our planet, our shared world, who they would be in the right if they were to push away Catholicism, Buddhism, because of if there was if there was that kind of consciousness around them, and they would have a natural, very natural, instinctual, and correct in the right experience of their empowerment if they were to push that away. Even though
Right.
Buddhism is great and Catholicism is great and monks are necessary and nuns are necessary, and that's great because the power of being weird says so, right? It says, well, my entire family has been saying I need to go be a Catholic monk for 10 years, ever since I was 7 years old, and now I'm 17 years old, and I could actually go and do that.
Right.
If you understand that the word Jesus means God saves, and God's will is what I'm saying. And so it's time for that person who's 17 years old to not quite pull off murdering their family, but just an inch less, right? Because it's inappropriate. Because God's created. God didn't say, Now you have blinders on and you are my robot and you have to walk this way and only walk in straight lines forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not creation. If you understand like art, using art as like literally what I recommend, if that person was hearing me, that 17-year-old, I would say do everything possible else for like a year at least. Then the Catholic monk thing, simply only because your parents and your family were pressuring you to do it for 10 years. And if it wasn't wrong for them to do that, first of all, you wouldn't feel so crass, you wouldn't feel so offended. And by the way, I know you're new in comparison to this world and all the souls and in
Right.
this ancient universe, and I'm 34 and I'm older than you, and I've been
Mhm.
around longer than you, but I love you.
Mhm.
And you know, yeah, let yourself know this, that what that's called is being oppressed,
Right.
because on a psychic level, it's like emotional abuse. That family
Right.
and family dynamics, we still unfortunately still have some of that going on in that way, because family is such a ultimately sensitive thing. I mean, I had a wonderful
Mhm.
childhood. I was not
Yeah.
oppressed, I was not abused. My childhood
Right.
was grand, and I was a mama's boy, and I loved
Mhm.
my mom. And my
Oh yeah.
mother was a Cancer sign, and I'm a Leo, right? So it was a match made
Okay.
in heaven. And I, in that way, naturally, fully, completely, and utterly, basically on all levels, understand oppression, and in
Right.
particular in context of the family dynamic, and particular further between single parents and single children, right? And then
Yeah.
basically, really, what it is that the child is, they're safe, so safe that on a feeling level, if they say I feel this way, even
Right.
without them knowing further or saying more, it's our that's the end of their job, so to speak, because they just have to communicate that, and then from there
Right.
on, kind of the parents, I guess I'll say with some leniency, eventually, right, to get to
Yeah.
the bottom of that, meaning what is
Right.
the feeling, and 100% get to the bottom of that. So then basically that's how you guarantee that you're not in a oppressive, certainly in an oppressive environment, right?
Right.
Um, so all of this we could say, I mean, I mean, I guess we can give some takeaways here at the end of the video. We're at an hour and 7 minutes. Self
Right.
responsibility is for everybody. It's inescapable. I mean, if you want to, I'll kind of give you a little bit of an example here, because I understand how we think.
Right.
So I worked with autistic people, and I love them. I was at the library the other day, and there were some, I hope I use the right language, but they were clearly different people. And we equivalate that with mental, what's that called? We have it documented in science. I don't want to say the
Right.
word that's wrong.
Right.
Down syndrome, etc. Right?
Right.
These kind of people. And I was at the library, and I walk in, this girl's there with a lollipop. She goes, "Hello," right? "Hey, honey,
Cool. How cute.
hi, honey." And I go up to the computer, and after giving her at least some eye contact and smiling, you know, and that kind of thing, and understanding that the self-responsible act by the caregivers of these people,
Mhm.
the self-responsible act is not going, you know what, Dr. Joe? How are they going to be self-responsible in this lifetime, Dr. Joe?
Right.
How are they going to pull that off? What are they going to do? Start trying to go to vote at a politics and drive cars?
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
The self-responsible, truly self-responsible act would happen in the individuals who are caretakers of them, is they would take naturally what happens is, like I mentioned earlier, the wires. So that would
Right.
be a fray. So the fray would be, it's called exterior blame.
Right.
So if that person is doing that because this other person who they're responsible for their survival. Their
Right.
survival utterly, right? That's we call it caretaker, but it's really, I'm going to make sure this person doesn't die today every day.
Right. For sure.
And it translates as I'm giving care to them because they're superheroes. And
Right.
I mean, honestly, I see it as like I'm not married. I want to have kids, and I'd love to marry those, maybe one of those women or something. You know what I mean? But so then basically, the self responsibility is you get even more excited about helping these people. You get even more elated, right? So you don't go into the place of you're offensive,
Right.
because Joe isn't offensive. Joe isn't playing football and throwing a football and trying to get in the end zone. Joe's not offensive.
Right. Right.
And there's no reason for you to be defensive because we're not playing a sport game,
Right.
right?
For sure.
It's in that way, and that's the ultimate love, because there's nowhere for you to go, there's nowhere for me to go, and we're in existence, and you deserve
Right.
to be happy. And how that happens is not by someone who has answers and then gets doesn't say them,
Right.
right? So self responsibility in that way is for everybody universally, no matter what. What else? Nothing wrong with 100% needing healing. um,
Mhm.
that your experience is your experience alone, and it's personal and confidential, and you don't have to share an inch about it.
Right.
And the power of being weird is for everybody. And ultimately, it kind of like a paradox, I guess, in the sense that it's only ever alone, only ever
Right.
alone. And I guess that's it for me for Healing in the Collective. Reiki Master Dr. Joe Vertino here, traditions known as Usui, spiritual guide, author, musician. Please check into my stuff. On my, what do I have? I guess I could share a link. If I can get my Instagram, I'll share my Instagram link while Bonnie says some closing words for us. And thank you, Bonnie, and all the people like Bonnie around the world. Like a hug.
Yeah, group hug, world hug. So, yeah, thank you, Dr. Joe, for having me on your podcast today. I appreciate it. Everybody stay cool for Christmas. Have a happy New Year, and reach out to anybody if you need any type of help. Don't be ashamed if you are dealing with mental health issues. It's nothing to be ashamed about. It's better that you reach out and ask for help than something else happen. So I want to see everybody have a great rest of 2024. I want to see everybody thrive in 2025. And I want you to go and reframe your negatives into positives and just create better thoughts in your mind. Everybody just be happy and be awesome. That's about all I can say. So Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, all that kind of good stuff.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm just grabbing a link real quick on here with my
Freezing hands, yeah.
freezing hands here in Buffalo, New York, in December 2024. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully, this link will go through. Yeah, that's my Instagram that I have right there. That has, if you right at the top of it, all four of my links: SoundCloud, which is music, TikTok, books on Amazon, and Facebook are all on my Instagram. And of course, then you also have my Instagram. So thank you, everybody. I guess you know what, a general kind of cool prayer at the end here is not just safe travels, but how about what's exciting, what's new, what's weird. I think of people,
Yeah.
that you've got options, in your holiday season. And what are
Right.
those options? Even if you just one of those options just comes up kind of that's new. Oh, look at that. It's like you see a
Yes.
daisy. I kind of want to use
Yes.
Irish accent. You see a daisy come out of the same old field. Oh,
Right.
where did that come from, Dr. Joe? It's a new option in my life. And the holidays,
Yes.
it gets so blasé. It gets so
Yes.
blasé. Even though I'm alive and it's like I'm eating the pellet, like you said, like the birds, they go to the seed.
Yes.
You're just eating it. Now you got a problem but it's like it's food. Isn't it good enough? No, it's not.
Yes.
Because we're what? Because there's such a world and we have so many options, and there's a reason that we have free will and there's choices. So basically,
Right.
my prayer here is that let yourself entertain newness.
Yep.
And if that translates, like if I feel elated and proud of myself that if I could use my own term again here at the end, Mr. Leo, right? All the way to the end, promoting themselves, weirded out,
Right.
right? It doesn't need to be like a anything more or less than that. It's okay. It's new. Let yourself be new. Even if you're an old person, let yourself
Yep.
indulge in that newness, knowing that there's new life coming into the world, knowing that there is I guess a new perspective for some people is that not everything is guaranteed, and that there's a reason that yeah, and in that way I think of like some overly sheltered people, like you mentioned, a family who was indoctrinating and being oppressive, as a hypothetical, potentially not so hypothetical example, right? You have to be a
Right.
Catholic monk, and they say it, every day, 10 in the morning for 10
Mm.
years, right? Or something like this, which is oppression, you know,
Right.
you know, but that thing of the shelteredness, of when, sheltering yourself is one thing, but to shelter another soul who's an eternal soul, whose very existence is beginning with you, right? If you're their
Right.
family, you know you can see that as they got to come out of that then, right, later on in
Right.
life, right, where they start shopping for themselves or something, and you stop tying their shoes up, right, and you go, well, wasn't there someone else who made these shoes,
Mm.
Dad?
Right.
Right? And are they you? Do they believe what you believe? Are they the ones
Right.
trying to cover my eyes? No. Who are they, and what do they see the world as? Because they're the one who put the shoes on my feet. You're
Right.
the
Everybody sees the world in different ways and from different perspectives, and you just got to respect everybody's perspective and beliefs. And we all wear shoes, and we all wear shoes different sizes, and as long as your shoe fits, wear it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and I'll leave it with this: the most important thing, and we talk about assured foundational love, is
Right.
respect.
Yeah.
Respect, number one. All right, thank you all
Always
for
respect.
listening. Thank you for Miss Bonnie Hardie, my new friend and friend of the earth. And we could say of all souls in that way, generally, says Mr. Leo, as having and holding and promoting a benevolence in our shared universe. So thank you for her, and thank you, Lord, for me and my voice. Dr. Joe Vertino, over and out.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Cool. Hi, how are you? It is so cold. That's done. Oh. Oh, my Lord, my Lord. Okay, it's done. Let's just go inside because we're busy. End stream. Is it still going on? There we go. Did it not end? End. Am I still on live right now? My computer frozen outside? There we go. I apologize. We just left our video on the whole time here.